I'm Sophia, and I'm really happy you decided to spend some time with us today.
And I'm Jake. Whether you're relaxing at home, driving to work, taking a walk, or enjoying a quiet evening, thank you for listening.
We hope you can take a deep breath, relax, and simply enjoy this conversation. Today, we are talking about something that almost everyone thinks about at some point in life.
Yes, today our topic is life goals and hopes, and we'll explore it through a calm, natural English conversation designed for B1 to C1 English learners.
We'll speak clearly and naturally using real English expressions that you might hear in everyday conversations.
And remember, you don't have to understand every single word. Focus on the main ideas, enjoy the conversation, and let your English improve naturally.
Before we begin, we'd like to ask you a simple question to keep in your mind while you listen.
Here it is. What kind of life do you hope to have 5 or 10 years from now?
You don't need to answer right away. Just let the question stay in your mind while we talk.
Maybe you hope to have a job that makes you feel proud.
Maybe you hope to have stronger relationships with your family or friends.
Maybe you dream about traveling the world, learning new skills, or speaking English with confidence.
Or maybe your hope is much quieter. Perhaps you simply want a peaceful life with less stress and more balance.
Whatever your answer is, it matters because our hopes often guide the choices we make every day.
Today, we're going to talk about hopes and goals together because they often support each other.
Hope gives us a reason to keep moving, while goals give us something practical to work toward.
Hope is often emotional. It lives in your heart.
A goal is more concrete. It lives in your calendar, your notebook, and your daily actions.
When hope and action work together, life starts to feel more meaningful.
Even small actions become important because they connect today's effort with tomorrow's possibilities.
Jake, before we go deeper, I'd like to ask you something personal.
Go ahead, I'm ready.
When you were younger, how did you imagine your future?
That's an interesting question. When I was a teenager, I imagined becoming someone who traveled constantly.
Really? What made you interested in traveling so much?
I loved watching documentaries and reading stories about different cultures. Every country seemed like a completely different world.
Did you imagine yourself carrying a backpack and visiting dozens of countries?
Exactly. In my imagination, I was always at an airport with a passport full of stamps. It sounded very exciting.
That image feels very familiar. I think many people have imagined something similar.
The funny part is that I thought traveling would solve every problem in my life.
That's something many young people believe.
Yes, I imagined that every day would be perfect if I were somewhere new.
And what do you think now?
I still enjoy traveling, but I realize that happiness doesn't automatically come from changing places.
That's a valuable lesson.
Now I think your daily habits matter much more than your location.
I completely agree. A beautiful city cannot replace inner peace.
Exactly. If you're always stressed, you'll probably stay stressed no matter where you are.
That's a thoughtful observation.
What about you, Sophia? How did you picture your future when you were younger?
Mine changed many times. At one point, I wanted to become an architect because I loved drawing buildings.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, I spent hours designing imaginary houses on paper.
Were they realistic?
Not at all. Most of them had huge windows, secret rooms, and indoor waterfalls.
That sounds more like a movie than a real house.
Probably. I think I forgot about practical things like plumbing and electricity.
Those small details are surprisingly important.
Apparently they are.
So what happened to that dream?
Over time, I discovered that what I enjoyed most wasn't drawing buildings, it was helping people learn and communicate.
That's interesting because the dream changed, but the creative part stayed.
Exactly. I still enjoy creating things, they're just different kinds of creations now.
I think that's something many people experience.
Yes, sometimes our goals change, but our values stay surprisingly similar.
That's an important distinction.
Let's explain something that often confuses people.
Good idea.
Many people think changing your goals means you failed.
But that's not necessarily true.
Sometimes changing direction simply means you've learned more about yourself.
Life gives us new experiences, and those experiences naturally change what we want.
Imagine someone who dreamed about becoming a lawyer but later discovered they love teaching.
That doesn't mean the first dream was a mistake.
Exactly. It was simply one chapter of their journey.
Every experience teaches us something valuable, even if we eventually choose a different path.
So when we talk about hopes today, we're not saying they must stay exactly the same forever.
Hopes can grow, evolve, and become clearer over time.
That's actually one of the beautiful parts of life.
Because we're constantly learning who we are.
Let's think about the word hope.
Hope is a very gentle word.
It isn't as strong or demanding as a goal.
Hope leaves room for possibility.
You can hope to become healthier.
You can hope to build stronger friendships.
You can hope to feel more confident speaking English.
You can hope to wake up each morning feeling excited about your work.
These hopes don't create pressure.
Instead, they create direction.
That's why hope is so powerful.
It reminds us that the future doesn't have to look exactly like the present.
Now, let's compare that with goals.
Goals answer a different question.
Instead of asking, "What do I hope for?" goals ask, "What can I actually do?"
If your hope is to become healthier, your goal might be walking 30 minutes every evening.
If your hope is speaking English more confidently, your goal might be listening to English for 20 minutes each day.
If your hope is building stronger friendships, your goal could be calling one friend every weekend.
Suddenly, the future feels less overwhelming.
Because you're no longer trying to solve your whole life today, you're simply choosing one meaningful action.
And meaningful actions become habits.
Habits slowly become part of your identity.
One day, you realize you're no longer pretending to become that person. You already are becoming that person.
I really like that idea because identity grows quietly.
Yes, we often expect dramatic changes.
But most lasting changes happen almost invisibly.
You don't suddenly become confident overnight.
Confidence usually grows through hundreds of small experiences.
The same is true for patience.
And kindness.
And discipline.
Even hope becomes stronger when we practice believing in small progress.
Sometimes people say, "Nothing has changed."
But if they look closely, they might notice they now think differently than they did a year ago.
Their reactions may be calmer.
Their decisions may be wiser.
Their relationships may be healthier.
Those changes are easy to miss because they happen gradually.
Growth rarely announces itself.
It quietly becomes part of who you are.
I'd like everyone listening to think about one question. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I hope to become?
Notice that we're asking about the person, not only the achievements.
Because achievements come and go, but your character stays with you every day.
If your goal helps you become a kinder, calmer, wiser person, then even small progress has real value.
And sometimes that's the most meaningful success we can hope for.
When we understand that, our goals begin to feel less like pressure and more like quiet invitations to grow.
I've been thinking about something we mentioned earlier. Many people know what they hope for, but they still struggle to make steady progress.
I think that's because everyday life is full of interruptions. We all have responsibilities, unexpected problems, and moments when we simply don't feel motivated.
That's very true. Sometimes we imagine that successful people feel excited every single day.
But from what I've learned, that's rarely the case. Even very successful people have ordinary days when they feel tired or distracted.
The difference is often what they do on those ordinary days.
Exactly. They don't wait for perfect motivation. They continue with small actions even when they don't feel inspired.
I think that's one of the biggest lessons we can learn.
Me too. Motivation is wonderful when it's there, but consistency is much more dependable.
Let's imagine someone who wants to improve their English.
That's something many of our listeners can probably relate to.
This person studies for 3 hours one Saturday because they feel very motivated.
Then they don't study again for 2 weeks.
They might feel productive at first.
But in reality, that pattern is difficult to maintain.
Now imagine another person.
This person studies for only 15 minutes every day.
15 minutes doesn't sound very impressive.
Yet, after several months, those small sessions add up to many hours of meaningful practice.
More importantly, studying becomes part of their daily routine.
And routines require less energy than making new decisions every day.
That's something I find fascinating.
Me too. Our brains enjoy familiar patterns.
The more often we repeat a healthy habit, the less effort it usually requires.
That's why building habits can be more powerful than relying on motivation.
Jake, do you have any habits that have made your life easier?
Actually, yes. One simple habit has helped me a lot over the past few years.
I'm curious. What is it?
Every evening before I finish my day, I write down the 3 most important things I want to do tomorrow.
That sounds surprisingly simple.
It is. The whole process takes only a few minutes.
So how does that help?
The next morning, I don't waste time wondering where to begin. I've already made the decision.
That's clever, because decision-making can sometimes feel exhausting.
Exactly. Every unnecessary decision uses a little mental energy.
So by planning ahead, you're protecting your energy.
That's how I think about it.
Do you always complete all 3 tasks?
No, definitely not.
I'm glad to hear that. It makes you sound much more human.
Thank you, I think.
What happens if you don't finish everything?
I simply move the unfinished task to another day if it's still important.
So you don't criticize yourself?
I try not to. Being overly critical usually doesn't improve the situation.
That's an important point.
I think many people confuse discipline with being harsh.
Yes, but they're not the same thing.
Discipline is about continuing.
Being harsh is about punishment.
One helps us grow.
The other often makes us feel discouraged.
Exactly.
I have a habit that's quite different from yours.
I'd love to hear it.
Whenever I feel overwhelmed by a big project, I ask myself one question.
What's the question?
I ask, what is the smallest useful thing I can do right now?
I like that because it immediately reduces the pressure.
Sometimes the answer is opening a document.
Sometimes it's writing 1 paragraph.
Sometimes it's reading just 1 page.
Those actions sound tiny.
They are.
But tiny actions often create momentum.
Exactly. Starting is usually harder than continuing.
Once you've already begun, doing a little more often feels natural.
That's happened to me many times.
Me too. I've planned to work for 5 minutes and ended up working for an hour.
And even if you stop after 5 minutes, you've still kept your promise to yourself.
That builds trust.
Trust with yourself is something people don't talk about enough.
You're right.
We often think about trusting other people.
But we also need to become someone we can rely on.
If you repeatedly break promises to yourself, your confidence slowly decreases.
On the other hand, keeping small promises strengthens self-confidence.
That's because confidence isn't only about believing in yourself.
It's also about collecting evidence that you can depend on yourself.
I really like that way of thinking.
Me too. It feels much more practical.
Let's talk about another challenge.
Comparison?
Exactly.
I think almost everyone compares themselves to other people sometimes.
Social media has made that even more common.
We often see other people's highlights instead of their ordinary days.
Someone shares a promotion.
Someone else shares vacation photos.
Another person announces a big achievement.
After seeing enough of those posts, it's easy to feel like everyone else is moving faster.
But we rarely see the difficult moments behind those achievements.
We don't see the mistakes.
We don't see the doubts.
We don't see the long periods of quiet work.
We only see the final picture.
That's why comparison can be misleading.
Instead of comparing yourself with someone else's life, it can be more helpful to compare yourself with your past self.
Ask yourself, have I learned something since last year?
Am I slightly calmer than I used to be?
Do I communicate better than before?
Those questions lead to healthier reflection.
Because personal growth isn't a competition.
Everyone begins from a different place.
Everyone faces different challenges.
Everyone moves at a different speed.
That's perfectly normal.
Another thing I've noticed is that people often underestimate the value of patience.
We live in a world where everything feels fast.
Fast internet,
Fast deliveries.
fast entertainment.
Naturally, we begin expecting fast personal growth too.
But meaningful change usually follows a different rhythm.
Think about learning a language.
You don't suddenly wake up fluent one morning.
Instead, one day you realize you understood a movie better than before.
A few weeks later, you notice conversations becoming easier.
Then one day, someone compliments your English.
Those moments arrive quietly.
They're the result of many ordinary practice sessions.
I think the same is true for almost every meaningful skill.
Playing an instrument,
Learning to cook,
becoming physically stronger.
building healthy relationships.
They all require patience.
Sometimes patience feels difficult because we can't immediately see progress.
That's true.
Imagine planting a tree.
For quite a while, nothing dramatic seems to happen.
Yet beneath the surface, the roots are growing.
Personal growth often works the same way.
We may not notice changes every single day.
But over months or years, those small changes become remarkable.
I'd also like to talk about celebrating progress.
That's something many people forget to do.
We achieve one goal.
Then we immediately focus on the next one.
We rarely stop to appreciate how far we've come.
Celebration doesn't have to be something expensive or dramatic.
Sometimes it's simply taking a quiet moment to say, I'm proud that I kept going.
Or enjoying a peaceful cup of coffee after finishing an important task.
Those small celebrations remind us that progress deserves recognition.
They also make the journey more enjoyable.
Because if we only allow ourselves to feel happy after reaching the final destination, we might spend years forgetting to enjoy the present.
That's a sad way to live.
Life isn't only about arriving somewhere.
It's also about appreciating who we're becoming along the way.
So if you're listening today and you feel like your goals are still far away, don't be discouraged.
Ask yourself a simpler question instead.
What small action would make today slightly better than yesterday?
Sometimes that small action becomes the beginning of a much bigger transformation.
We've talked about hopes, goals, habits, and patience, but there is one more part of this journey that deserves our attention.
Yes, because even when we know what to do, life doesn't always go according to plan.
That's true. There will always be unexpected situations.
Plans change.
People change.
Sometimes our priorities change too.
And that doesn't mean we've failed.
It simply means we're living real lives instead of perfect ones.
I think many people put too much pressure on themselves to always be making progress.
But human beings aren't machines.
We all experience seasons in life.
Some seasons are full of energy and excitement.
Others are quieter and slower.
During those slower periods, it's easy to think you're falling behind.
But sometimes slow seasons are exactly when important growth happens.
You may be learning patience.
You may be healing from disappointment.
Or you may simply be preparing for your next opportunity.
Looking back, I realized that some of the periods I once considered wasted time actually taught me the most.
I can relate to that.
At the time, it didn't feel productive.
But later you understood why it mattered.
Exactly.
I think wisdom often arrives after experience.
Not before it.
That's one reason we shouldn't judge ourselves too quickly.
I also believe it's important to stay curious.
Curiosity makes life feel lighter.
Instead of saying, I failed, you can ask, what can this experience teach me?
That small change in perspective can completely change how you feel.
Instead of seeing mistakes as proof that you're incapable,
You begin seeing them as information.
information helps us improve.
Shame usually keeps us stuck.
That's why being kind to yourself isn't a weakness.
It's often the smartest way to keep moving forward.
Jake, has there ever been a goal you didn't achieve?
Oh, many.
I appreciate your honesty.
One example comes to mind immediately.
Tell us about it.
A few years ago, I wanted to learn a musical instrument.
That sounds like a wonderful goal.
It was. I imagined myself playing beautiful songs after just a few months.
Let me guess, reality was different.
Very different.
What happened?
I discovered that learning even simple songs required much more patience than I expected.
Did you become frustrated?
At first, yes.
That's understandable.
Every mistake made me think I wasn't talented enough.
But something changed?
Yes. One teacher gave me very simple advice.
What did they say?
They said, stop comparing today's performance with your ideal future. Compare it with last month's performance.
That's beautiful advice.
It completely changed my attitude.
Because the improvement became visible.
Exactly. I realized I actually was getting better.
Just more slowly than I'd imagined.
Since then, I've tried to use that idea in many areas of life.
I think that's a lesson worth remembering.
Progress isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's almost invisible until you look back. Sophia, do you have a similar experience?
Yes, actually.
I'd love to hear it.
There was a time when I believed I needed everything to be perfect before I started a project.
That's something many people struggle with.
I spent so much time planning that I barely made any progress.
Perfectionism can feel productive even when it isn't.
Exactly.
So what helped you change?
One day, I decided that an imperfect beginning was better than a perfect idea that never became real.
That's a powerful realization.
Since then, I've tried to finish more things instead of making everything perfect.
And what have you noticed?
I've learned much faster.
Because finished work teaches us more than unfinished plans.
Yes, action creates feedback.
Feedback creates improvement.
Improvement creates confidence.
It's a very natural cycle.
Before we finish today's conversation, let's review some useful vocabulary we used.
Great idea.
The first word is routine.
Routine is something you do regularly, often at the same time or in the same way.
For example, reading before bed is part of my evening routine.
Another useful word is momentum.
Momentum means making steady progress that becomes easier to continue.
For example, after studying every day for 2 weeks, I gained momentum.
We also used the word perspective.
Perspective means the way you look at or understand a situation.
You can say, travel gave me a new perspective on life.
Another important word is curiosity.
Curiosity is the desire to learn, discover, or understand something new.
Curious people often continue learning throughout their lives.
We also talked about reflection.
Reflection means thinking carefully about your experiences so you can understand them better.
For example, keeping a journal helps me reflect on my week.
Another useful word is encouragement.
Encouragement is support that gives someone confidence to continue.
Even one kind sentence can provide a lot of encouragement.
We also used the word adapt.
Adapt means changing your approach when circumstances change.
Life becomes easier when we learn to adapt instead of resisting every change.
Finally, let's remember the word balance.
Balance means giving appropriate time and attention to different parts of your life.
Work is important, but rest, relationships, and health matter too.
If you'd like to practice your English, try making one sentence with each of these words.
You'll remember vocabulary much better when you connect it with your own experiences.
Before we say goodbye, we'd like to leave you with one final question.
Imagine yourself 1 year from today.
Not a perfect version of yourself.
Just a slightly wiser, kinder, and more confident version.
What small habit, if you started today, could help that future version of you?
It doesn't have to be something dramatic.
Maybe it's reading for 10 minutes each day.
Maybe it's practicing English while drinking your morning coffee.
Maybe it's taking a short walk without looking at your phone.
Or maybe it's simply reminding yourself that progress doesn't have to be perfect.
Whatever your answer is, remember that meaningful lives are usually built one ordinary day at a time.
The future isn't created by one huge decision.
It's created by many small choices that seem almost unimportant in the moment.
Yet those choices slowly shape the person you become.
If today's conversation gave you something to think about, we'd love to hear from you.
Tell us in the comments where you're listening from and what hope you're carrying with you these days.
You can write something simple like, I'm Maria from Brazil, and I hope to become more confident speaking English.
Or, I'm Ahmed from Egypt, and my goal is to read one English article every day.
Every comment is another chance to practice English and connect with learners from around the world.
And we truly enjoy reading your stories.
Thank you for sharing this peaceful conversation with us today.
We hope you leave feeling a little calmer, a little more hopeful, and a little more confident.
Be patient with yourself. Keep learning, and remember that every small step has value.
Until next time, take care of yourself, keep practicing your English, and never stop believing that small daily actions can create a meaningful life.